Okay, y'all, this is a 1940 Corona Comet. I'm Laura with Jot and Tittle Vintage Typewriter. So glad you're here today. And we are going to look at this Corona Comet. My very first one. We haven't had a Comet before. It is stunning. If you like flat tops, you know, most flat tops have the high gloss sheen on it. And this has actually a heavy textured finish. This particular one overall is in excellent condition. There are a couple places where there's some chipping on that finish, and one of the places is right here. And so I want to point out straight away for any typewriter, but also this Comet, especially the reason it's chipping here is probably when they would open this to change out the ribbon or check on things, they would put this down, but did you hear it snap? They didn't make sure it snapped all the way down. And then that handle would, because that's where the chipping is, would chip away at that finish. So no matter what typewriter you have, be sure that your cover snaps all the way down so that your handle doesn't scratch or chip your paint. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this Comet. I am going to take this out so you can see the typeface on it. Very nice. It is a Pica, 10 CPI. You can see I made a mistake. I put Smith Corona. This is not a Smith Corona. It's just a Corona, 1940 Corona Comet. Has a really nice look to it. And I put on here a dream for petite hands because I found that it has a heavy hammer on it. So really you only need a very light touch, and petite hands, this was, you just glide with it. So there are some parents out there, especially this time of year, that are looking for typewriters for their kids, but their kids they don't want one that looks like it's for kids. They want one of the old ones. They're like an old soul. I run into them all the time. They're fantastic. This is going to be wonderful for them because it's going to fit their hands. You only need a light touch. And this is just a nice, sturdy typewriter. Real basic, doesn't have tabs or releases or anything like that. I mean, it's got the margin release and a backspace, and that's it. Real basic, but an excellent functioning typewriter, and one that I would recommend for heavy use and for those of us with a smaller hand. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to do an instructional video. And for those of you that want to know how to use this typewriter, we'll go ahead and do that now. And those of you that already know how, you can either chime in or move along, whatever you prefer right now. So let me put this non-slip typewriter pad underneath it real quick. And this just helps keeping it from slipping around. It protects the table. And then also, as I'm going to be moving this typewriter up, I don't want to chip it anymore. So it just helps protect it. So you can see, well, I guess it is, Smith is still around. It's the LC Smith and Corona typewriter. But it's only got the Corona logo on the front. So there's your margins. You just press and drag. And you can do that from the front. So you just fold this back plate over and then adjust your margins. And there's that. So to release your carriage, here's your carriage. This is your, oh, and one of my readers, was it Richard? Were you the one to tell me? I think Richard, you told me. Love you guys, my followers and my readers. So he looked it up because I always say platen or platen, and he said it is platen, kind of like flatten. So that's how I remember that now. So it is called the platen. A lot of the platens get really hard, and so then they'll punch through when you're typing. And when we work on our typewriters, we don't do a full refurbishing. So like we don't replace the parts for the most part. Sometimes we do, but we keep the parts original for the most part, including the platen. And so in this particular case, this platen is hard. And so I do recommend, and some people recommend doing this anyway, but if your platen is hard, be sure to use 2 or 3 paper pages. And you can see, like on ours, where it typed through the first page and actually embossed on the second page. So that's a pretty hard platen, but it's still typable. I mean, you can still use it. So I would probably put a 3rd page on this one, and you can see on this platen, whoever used it before, how it started imprinting because it's so hard. But you can get these replaced. You'll have to find a repair person that does proper refurbishing, and not all of them have access to the platens. There are only a few people, I believe, this is what my husband told me, that actually make the rubber for these platens, but with a little bit of research, I'm sure you can find someone to do that. But actually, anybody that does a refurbishing, they should be replacing these, so they would definitely probably be able to do that for you. Now, I do have a typewriter repair directory. It's incomplete. It's on the website. The link is below. It's a starting point, and if you happen to know anybody or notice that your name's not on that and it should be, let me know, because honestly, I messed up on the long story. I deleted my last typewriter repair directory and all the information on it, so I'm having to rebuild it. So if you're missing, I apologize. Just let me know so I can get it re-added. Okay, so back to this. Here's your carriage release. It's on either side. Just pull forward. This has a very sweet bell. I could sit here and just do this all day. This is your paper release right here, and your return handle. Again, please make sure your cover is snapped all the way down. Many of these typewriters, the return handle has such a narrow clearance that any bit of, if it's up just a little bit, it's gonna hit that. So just always make sure that cover is all the way down. Now, if you do need to get underneath the hood, we'll just move that carriage all the way to the left, pop it open. You'll see it only uses a single color ribbon in there, so whatever color you choose. Obviously black is standard, but there are many colors of ribbons out there. I've seen them on Etsy and eBay that you can use, and it fits on a standard universal spool, and you just pop them in and out. It's pretty simple. It's messy. It is a little time consuming because you want to thread it properly. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera, and if you need to pause it and take a screenshot or whatever you need to do, but I'll hold that up here in a second. But make sure you thread it. There's a guide wire here and here, and your ribbon comes over the top and around the bottom, and again over the top to the outside, around the bottom on both sides. And then you're gonna come over, and this is your inner area here, and I can't see, I'm sorry, my tripod is in the way here. Hopefully you can kind of get an idea of how that's been threaded in there. And you just kind of have to look for, there's going to be slits and slots within those metal pieces, and you just kind of have to jimmy them through and slide them in so it looks like this, and then it comes around. And there might be some other channels that do a better job of showing you how to thread the ribbon. My husband does all of that. I'm going to be honest, I am horrible at threading typewriter ribbon. Every time I try it, I mess it up. So, and I make a huge mess. I get ink everywhere. So my husband does it, and he's very camera shy. So maybe one of these days I'll convince him to maybe do a ribbon threading video. However, the only issue with that is pretty much every typewriter is different. So, but we can start with one, right? Okay, so now that we're done with that, we're going to snap this shut. We'll bring the carriage back over. This is your line selector, this little metal mini handle. That's your line selector. And then, let me see. I don't see how the variable spacing works on this. So sometimes most typewriters have a little knob or something where they can pops out where you can do some variable spacing, but I don't see it on this typewriter. Okay, down here is your ribbon reversal. So once you get to the end of the spool, it's not the end of the ink and the ribbon, you reverse the direction right here. Okay, and then it goes back and forth, and you just keep going back and forth until you use up all that ink. Ribbons really should last you quite a while. And they don't auto reverse unless the ribbon has a little grommet. It's like a little metal piece at the very end of the ribbon, and that'll trigger a reverse. So it has to do with the ribbon and not the typewriter. Okay, let's go down here. Real basic, you know, you've got your backspace. Backspace does not erase, it just backspaces. And I do get the questions, how do you delete? You don't delete on a typewriter. You either go back and you cross out or line through or type over your mistakes, and you just keep going. And so a typewriter is a great way to learn how to embrace your mistakes. And then we have a margin release, because when you get to the end of your margin, let's put in a piece of paper. So when, oh, see now the bell, I got to my margin, the bell went off saying, hey, you need to hit that return handle, but I'm gonna keep going. Okay, now it's stopped. I can't do anything. It's not gonna let me type, and it's not gonna move. So I'll hit margin release. Here we go, and I can finish my word and hit the return handle. And so that is how the margin release works. You've got your shift and then your shift lock, which is like your caps lock. And to release it, you just hit the shift again, either one. So that is all there is to the Corona Comet. Now, if you want to know the serial number, the Comet starts with a 1W serial number. It's going to be over here on the right side. I don't know if you can see this one. Like I said, my setup is in the way, so I can't see if you guys can see that or not. And that's where the serial number is. All right, so hey, thanks for watching. You know, anytime you guys subscribe or like my videos or comment, that just helps us grow our channel, and we sure appreciate that. All right, you all have a blessed day.